afternoon, student. Welcome to our third meeting. In our third meeting, we're going to conduct our class through a synchronous way. So I'm going to explain you through a videos, two other videos, and then right now I'm going to explain you about chapter 4. Our chapter 4 topics is about managing marketing information to gain consumer insight. We have never doubt that marketing information is really important in order to gain a consumer insight. A company requires to know what is the customer wants and needs. Therefore, they need to build a way in order to gain more information through a marketing information that gather from different sources, so they will get more understanding about how the customer wants in order to being treated, or maybe what the specific behavior done by a consumer, so they will be able to create also a competitive advantage. Most of the time, marketing manager is always overloaded with data and often overwhelmed by data. They will get data everywhere from smartphone, personal computer, tablets, and then a lot of internet information that provide a tons of information about customer. We also familiar with the terminology of big data that has by a lot of big company nowadays, such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They collect a lot of data came from different sources from many of customers. And then here we're going to see further about the definition of big data. This is a huge and complex data sets generated by today's sophisticated information generation, collection, storage, and analysis technology. We understand that data is not longer using a small capacity of data, but we understand that data is now become a zettabyte. There's a lot of storage owned by a big company in order to store a really complex tons of data. So the company will be able to use that to analyze and in order to predict their future plan. Another thing is about the consumer insight. Consumer insight is a fresh marketing information based understandings of customers and the marketplace that become the basis for creating consumer value, engagement, and also relationship. It is really important, of course, we've been learning it from the beginning to understand the customer needs and wants. Without knowing it, we will finally feeling like we're facing a marketing myopia, that we to focus some nearer side instead of understanding the brighter side or the future side of our customer. Therefore, it's really important for us to know more about our customer through a lot of data that we can gain from the market and then also from different sources. And then the other things that we need to also understand that we can use management information system in order to help us to create and to gather to generate data about our customer. Management information system, or MIS, it is defined as people and procedure dedicated to accessing information needs, developing the needed information, helping decision makers to use the information to generate and validate actionable consumer and marketing insight. So we will use system in order to help us to collect data, helping us to providing the information, and also helping out the decision makers to make some decision from the information that we gathered. The information that we gather from different sources is not only useful for the company, this is also useful for the suppliers, our resellers, and other marketing intermediaries, including the service agency. And they can use the information in order to get to achieve the purpose of the company's goals and objectives. And then, of course, in order to gather a lot of information, we have to spend the cost. And even though we sometimes have to pay for more because we involve another party outside the company, such as hiring, marketing, survey company, or we hiring agency. so we can get more information about how to make a good promotional message for our customer. Here are some pictures about how is the informations and then how is the process of information that will be useful for the marketing managers and other information users, such as the director of the company, the owner of the company, and anyone who actually roles as decision makers in a company. So, of course, they always need information, and then they required to access the information they need, and also they should analyze the information they get and use the information to help them make some decision making. And then where they can get the lot of information, they can get from different sources, the different sources such as smartphone and internet and then our personal computer and then another tools will be collected in our internet internal data. The internal data is consist of data that we have stored in our company's library, and then we can use that information for knowledge management. So when it times for the company use it for some purpose, for example, to create some new prediction for the future marketing plan, then they can take it from the company's library. That is internal database. This is also including the sales data, transaction data, and then data that we get it from our suppliers, the transaction data with the suppliers, transaction data with the resellers, and then communication data that we conduct with our customer that are stores in the internal database. And then we can also use the marketing intelligence who would help us to understand more about our competitors so we can create some value preposition, unique value preposition to our customers. Therefore, we need to understand our market too. Then we can ask the help of the marketing intelligence to conduct some research. And then we can do some marketing research itself. In the next slide, we're going to emphasize and talk in deeper about several types of marketing research that we can do in order to gain more information. And of course, we are not allowed to ignore a marketing environment such as target market, marketing channels, competitors, publics, and other macroeconomics forces that give some influence and impact toward our company situation analysis. According to its definition, internal data is the huge and complex data sets by today's sophisticated information generation collection, storage, and analysis technology. As it is also mentioned that internal data consists of our sales data, and then our promotional data, and then how much money that we spend for promotional purpose, how much money we spend for distribution, the cost of the product, our communication way with the customers, suppliers, and other intermediary of the company. So in time we need the data, we always be able to take it from our company's library. And then it is also been mentioned about competitive marketing intelligence, which the definition is the systematic monitoring, collection, and analysis of publicity available information about our customers, competitors, and development in the marketing environment. So we have to understand our industry competitors, the same level, and then subsidy product. So in order to understand that, we need to gather information from the internet. We can hire one department in our organization to really conduct some intelligence toward the competitors' financial data or financial information, or maybe the market share information, industry information. So we know our position, and then we can compare, and at the end we can try to find our uniqueness, our difference with the other competitors. Another things that we can do also in order to gather data, we can conduct marketing research. The definition of marketing research, it is a systematic design, collection, analysis, and reporting of data relevant to a specific marketing situation facing an organization. There are several research that we can do in order to explore on our problem and research objectives. We can do some exploratory research. This is a marketing research to gather preliminary information that will help define problem and suggest hypothesis. So the first things before we conduct marketing research, we have to do exploratory research by collecting data from the secondary data that we get from the library, or we get it from the government database, we get it from the research or industry database. We try to gather all the data, we get it from the research journal, or maybe we can get some periodicals report, and we try to gather all the data, and then also from the internal database owned by the company itself, and then so we can know what is the problem, and then what the next things that we can do to continue our research. Just for example, we try to understand what kind of factors in order to create the customer's loyalty towards our product, that we can try to get the previous research from different sources that similar with our product, and then we can read that journals, that research, and then we can find perhaps several variables that influence on the consumer's loyalty, and we can use that variables to being placed and to being put as the variables to be tested in our research. So the first thing that we have to do is doing the exploratory research, which is collecting all the information needed. And then the second one is descriptive research. This is a marketing research to better describe the marketing problem, situation, and market, such as the market potential for a product and the demographic and attitudes of the customers. In descriptive research, we can try to spread some questionnaires, and then we can try to get more information about who is our customer, what is their age, what is their income, and then the education background, what is their hobbies, and then how they spend their time in leisure when during leisure time, and then how they see a product benefits, whether they see it from the service itself, whether they can see it from the reputation of the brand. We can try to spread a questionnaire, we can try to conduct some interview, so we can get more information about our customer, and we can try to describe it in our research. And then the other things that we can do in order to define the problem and do the research objective, we can conduct causal research. This is a marketing research to test the hypothesis about the cause and effect of a relationship between different variables. Just for example, I will take similar example with the first one. We would like to know how to increase the consumer brand loyalty. We find out that according to different research that we get from a journal, that in order to increase a consumer loyalty, we need to have brand acuity of the customers, and then pricing factors, and then quality of service. Just for example, we have that three variables. So we can conduct causal research using different tools. Yeah, we can using partial least square, we can also using regression or chi-square something. Then we try to connect through the data that we get from spreading the questionnaire, we get the data and we process to find out whether there's a causal effect relationship, whether the price factor is a factor in order to gain consumers' loyalty, or maybe different factor from the brand acuity or the service quality. And then in order to develop the research plan, we can try to find data from a secondary data or the primary data. The secondary data is data that we get from previous research. We try to collect from previous mass media, or maybe from the company database. So we don't take data directly from the customer, just for example, or taking it directly from the field where we would like to conduct the research. While the primary data This is a kind of research where we can get the data directly from the customer as the source of information, or maybe we can try to find it directly from the field of the object of the research where we conduct this research. In the next slide, we're going to further explain about the example or several types of secondary data and also the primary data. Before we go further to talk about several types of secondary and primary data, we're going to see first a phase of doing the research on the marketing, especially we're talking about marketing. But this is also be able to apply in the case of when you did your thesis, yeah, as a final project of yours on the undergraduate level. Um, these are several steps that you have to do when you did research. Just for example, the first one is define the problem. Yeah, before we step further to the other process, of course, we have to really recognize what is our problem when we conduct some research. We try to we can try problem everywhere in our company. Just for example, you find a problem with your in terms of marketing, you find a problem on numbers of buyers who previously become your loyal buyers, but not now that they not longer buy your product. That's a problem, the first problem. The other one example is when we see that there's a lot of negative word of mouth about our product in the internet. We heard a lot of problem, and then we hear complaints from customer. That is also a problem. So we have to determine first what is our problem. And then beside the problem, you can also try to do the research about the market opportunity. Yeah. For example, technology currently giving you a lot of opportunity to being innovative on how you conduct your business and how you market your product. Just for example, using a social media, or maybe you can use TikTok, or maybe another application possible for you to conduct some to expand your business. And that's first step one. And then the second step, we try to design our research. We try to gather more information about things that we can use as a solution. And then after that, we design the data as the third step and a collection form. What kind of data that we need, and then whether we're going to conduct it through secondary data or through primary data, we have to do the survey, or maybe we have to interview our respondents, and whether we're going to use observational or experiments. That is on the design of data. And the fourth one, we try to emphasize and being specify who is our samples. We have to understand first population. Who is the population of this research? Just for example, in my class, marketing management class, there is around 22 students in my class, and then that is the population for marketing management class A on the first semester 2020-2021. Yeah, that is the population. But among that 22 students, I will take only 11 students, like a half of the student in the class, to become my samples. So sample is a part of population. Usually when the companies conduct some research, they only take samples, because if they take the population, it will be takes more time and cost a lot of money. But if the population is less, like in my class is only 22, it will not be a problem. But sometimes the company would like to know about how about Indonesians consumer who usually buy a Samsung smartphone. There are around 200 millions peoples in Indonesia for the population. So of course it will be really takes time and will spend a lot of money. So you have to make sure you just take samples from the population. And then after you took the specific samples, you collect your data, you can spread a questionnaire, you can also do some interview. And after you collect the data, you gather all the data, and then you can use that data and then analyzing it. And at the end, you can write the research report and do the interpretation, data interpretation, and present your finding to the marketing managers or your boss. In order to gathering secondary data, we can use commercial online database such as Nielsen companies, Boston Consulting Group. Um, we can also use marketplace data. Sometimes we have to pay for it, or it's a type of free freemium. Freemium is like you will get the data for free, but if you want to have deeper data, then you have to pay for it. That is a commercial online database. And then in order to collect our primary data, we can use two approach. Yeah, the first one is research approach or maybe contact method approach. For the research approach, divided into four research. The first one is observational research. This is a types of research where you have to just observe someone. You try just like examine someone from far, like when you try to get more information about how a housewife do their shopping in a traditional market or a wet market. Therefore, you have to sit on that traditional market pretending to become a seller, and then try to observe how is the behavior of a woman or housewife when they conduct transaction with the other sellers on the traditional market. That is observation. You also be able to conduct observation through a CCTV or camera. So your respondents or like your source of information will not recognize that they are under supervision, so they can be free, and there is no manipulations on their behavior. And then the second one is ethnographic research. This is a type of research where you need to find um, deeper details relating on someone's behavior. Just for example, my friends who work on a Sinofate, one of the market survey company, she being assigned to get more information about several customers' behavior after they wake up in the morning, what kind of activities, because the company who hire her would like to know what kind of product will be possible for everyone to be used after they do a morning activities, during their morning activities. So my friends contact several potential respondents or potential source of information and ask their permission to stay there to observe, do some kind of observation, but not just observe, but also involving on the activity, like following them, yeah, do the same thing as what they did. So she have to stay in one of the source, and then she will follow all of her activity after wake up in the morning, what she will do, like maybe washing her face, their face, and after that preparing for breakfast, and go to bathroom to clean themselves. During that, for example, before they have to take a brush, and then after that what they have to do, and before they leave to office, what kind of product they will use, how long they will do that. So that is ethnographic research. If you are an actor or an actress, in order to understand the life of the people that you try to be, yeah, you role as that person. Just for example, you have to role as a bammer or a punk, punkers, for example, like people is considered as a punk. So you have to live like them, yeah, to understand what kind of food they eat, and then how they will treat to something, some situation, what is their daily activity. That is ethnographic research. It is when you try to understand someone's life deeper. And then the third one is survey research. We can conduct it through a spreading questionnaire, yeah. And then the experimental research is when we conduct some experiment. Just for example, you would like to know whether music will bring some influence on someone's academic achievement. So just for example, I have two different classes for marketing management. The first classes, I'm giving them some treatment where before the class, in the middle of class, during the rest time, and then before the end of class, I will set a music on the class. But on the other class, there is no music from first meeting to the end. And then I'm trying to finally at the end see the result from their grade, whether the class with music treatment will get a better achievement compared to the other class. That is experiment. But those who is under the experiment, they should not aware that they are the subject of the experiment. So they have to make sure that they are not aware. So there is no manipulation on the treatment. There is no manipulation on their behavior. And the other contact model is like you sending a mail, telephone, asking for a personal interview, and then you conduct a market online research. And then this is the last one about sampling plan. Sample, as has been mentioned, is a part or a segment of a population selected for marketing research to represent the population as a whole. Yeah. Why you have to do a sample? You have to take samples because, of course, if you did spreading all the question, for example, for everyone or conduct interview for everyone, it will be takes time. Meanwhile, you have to make some decision. So you can't wait. So you can just take a few of them or maybe a several percentage of the population. And then the research instrument for some for spreading the questionnaire is like spreading the survey is like taking ask them to fulfill the questionnaire, and after that, you implement the research plan, interpret the analysis, and finally, at the end, you reporting of your finding to the manager. So these are all the process on the marketing research, including actually, this is a part of effort that you can do in order to gain more market information that will be beneficial for a company to understand their consumer insights. This is the end of the explanation. If you have some question, please put your question on the Microsoft team. Do not forget to place your name and also to write on your student number. Thank you.